We have Aephanemer with MEMENTO Mori, something a little special for you guys today. We're going to get that cover over there, enlarge the show detail, because it's beautiful. This album was released about a month ago. They are a melodic death metal band out of France, and this is one that revolves around a little bit of a history lesson. As I know that melodic death metal elicits a lot of different responses. I know that since this genre started to really bloom and blossom and balloon, I guess, with the number of bands that wanted to get signed or that were signed under this banner, that's some people may view this as not another melodic death metal band, but stick with me here. Even if this was your former love and you've moved on to other styles of music, this band does kind of deserve your exploration a little bit, because they do things just a little bit differently. So here's the history lesson. In 2014, this was a one-man project. This was Martin, the guitar player's one-man band, and he did everything, released an EP entitled Know Thyself, and here we are 2 years later with a full band, with vocals, with everything. This is a full-fledged project, and the evolution is one that definitely shows the leaps and bounds that were definitely made from that EP to this LP, and it's not just based around the idea that, oh, now there's vocals, hoo-hoo! No, instead, the songwriting definitely had to be fine-tuned a little bit in order to accommodate vocals, and you can get that with Unstoppable, the very first cut off of this album, and one of the very first songs that the band shared from this disc. And what I mean by that is that there is the line that's in here is obviously a little bit more tailored for there to be vocals that are over top of it. This is not something that feels like it is really cramming in a lot of great guitar licks. It's not letting the music by itself do the talking, or the guitar by itself, in the case of Know Thyself, do the talking. It's instead one that is allowing a dialogue really to occur as the song is morphing and growing. Now, the vocals on this are pretty bestial. They have a little bit of a gruff factor to it. It might not be something that everybody embraces instantaneously, but if this is the only thing that you've heard from this disc thus far, if you've heard anything at all, if you missed the stream on Friday, where I played probably about half of it, you know that this is a band where the vocals do improve even more throughout the album. So, moving on to Sisyphus's Blues and into Hellborn and the Oathsworn, that's where that variety starts to really take hold a little bit. And you might think, well, melodic death metal is not really known for variety. They just have melody, 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 rah, 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 rah. There you go. That's melodic death metal in a nutshell. Well, this is a 53-minute, 10-track affair, which would put every song at an average at about 5.5 minutes. Kind of roughly the amount of Unstoppable. But you have a track here that's 4 minutes, another one that's 6, and then the Oathsworn, which is 7.5 minutes. And really, the instrumentalization and really the way in which this guitar just swirls over everything, and just the tightness and the overall flow of how these songs are being constructed, it really showcases that Martin originally wrote alone and originally focused very heavily on writing very tight passages, ones that can showcase some of his excellence while also being able, and this might have been the challenge of writing with a full band, really giving the ability for vocals and other elements of the songs to intervene and also sort of take that spotlight away. The guitar solos feel very, very tight. There's a little bit of inventiveness that's going on within these solos, and really the pacing thus far has maintained that sort of mid to high tempo. It's one that still maintains a lot of excitement. We're not getting anything that is knocking it down into a slower range, which there is one thing that can be said about that could be construed as negative. We'll get to that a little later. But as you move on to Ghosts, which is just an intro to the next track, which is Rage and Forgiveness, we are getting mostly more of the same. What I do like, though, is that on the second half of the album, we do get our first glimmer of some clean vocals from Marianne. This female is doing some fantastic work whenever it comes to vocals, by the way. The gruffness, just some of the confidence that you get. And that's what I mean, like, whenever I said that Unstoppable may not have been, it may have turned some people off. That confidence grows with each and every track on this album. That's what's amazing about it, is that you can actually audibly witness the confidence just going through the roof sky high for this young lady as she is continuing to just belt out these bestial grunts and bestial growls. And then you hear the clean voice, then you hear the clean singing, and wow, it's a nice contrast. It's something that actually offers a little bit something more to some compositions. Now, they themselves have admitted they're not the biggest fans of clean singing in melodic death metal, but they say that if it is something that they want to do, they want to be 100% sure, and it shows. The locations are sparse on this album where that is involved, and whenever it is done, it feels not only tasteful, it almost has that feeling of it needed to be there. It would not have worked the same way without the presence of the clean voice. So again, just a little bit of that sort of fine-tuning, a little bit of that, awareness of your own material. It really does go a long way. Sometimes I feel bands can get a little bit impulsive. They can get a little bit too, I guess, up their own ass or up their own ideas ass, where they kind of ignore some logic or ignore what the music is trying to tell them. Aephanemer did not really ignore what the music was telling them as so much as it basically had a dialogue with its own music. As weird as this metaphor is going, they had a dialogue with their own sound, and they were able to come to a conclusion of what needed to be there. Another thing, pardon me, that makes this album very special is the last two songs on this disc. The brain is going bye right before your eyes. This is amazing. Memento Mori, which is the title track, is track number 9, 6.5 minutes by itself, and then Gilgamesh, the longest track on the album, is a couple seconds shy of 7:30. The Oathsworn is 4 seconds shorter than that, so they're pretty close. But these two songs throw everything together. Now, instead of feeling like this is just going to be another pair of tracks, they throw everything that you've gotten from the first 8 songs together in a pot, and they have given us this porridge of track 9 and track 10, of Memento Mori and Gilgamesh. And it showcases the real power of this band. It showcases the synths are something that are just crazy on this album. It's something that does give it an added boost of dynamic. And also, it shows that there is still a lot of room to grow for this band, because it seems like their songwriting, the crispness on these two tracks is probably at its peak. I don't know about when tracks were recorded or written or whatever, but these two feel exceptionally polished, very well done. And while it may not have the same melodic giddy-up or the same, single potential as a track such as Unstoppable or some of the other songs off of the first couple of this disc, it's certainly one where the polish and the overall sort of songwriting IQ showcases that this band has a bright future. And you have to remember that whenever you listen to them. You have to remember that, really, this is their first album. Really, this is the debut of Aephanemer. And you're kind of blown away a little bit by that, because they sound a lot like Seasoned Pros. They really do. This does not have that afterglow of they still have so much to learn, or that afterglow of I can't believe that this was allowed to come out. It still sounds very unpolished. This sounds polished. This sounds like a band that has been going at this for 10 years. And that's what gives Aephanemer a swagger. That's what gives them sort of that notion that they are going to be a kind of a big player in the next realm of melodic death metal, because they already have that feel of seasoned veterans. Now, one thing this album does carry with it, with the melodic death metal sound, is that you can very easily get sort of trapped within your own sound, and a lot of the songs can sort of get a similar vein to them. Aephanemer does sort of fall victim to that a little bit. You're not necessarily getting a truckload of variety, but the variety is sort of stashed in the tracks themselves. You get a lot more in the way of switchovers to those synths that sort of slow things down before rip-roaring through a finale. You don't get a lot of slower moments on this album, and it's really not necessary. This is one that's more about the fury. It's more about the aggression. It almost has a little bit of a power metal, idea draped around it, only without the slower, more melodic power metal ballads. Instead, this is one that just has a lot of great guitar work, and that's all they want. They want to be a furious guitar-lick band that has fantastic riffs and just a lot of talent. That can sometimes be irritating to those who are not just accustomed and love this stuff. They're just sort of the casual fans of it. So a little bit more variety may not hurt. It is the spice of life after all, but overall, man, damn. Really, really powerful debut. I've waited a couple of weeks to do this review because I didn't want to take this out of my car. I was having a lot of fun jamming to it, and it just got really, really hard to... I would look down at it and I'd say, yeah, I should take that in there and do this. And I'd go, no, man, every single time I drive, That right there. The past month. It's been great. Really great debut. Really positive debut. I have to give them a lot of credit. I'm really not going to score this. Very much like in the same vein. This is one where I would recommend it highly for those who are unfamiliar with them. I would give it, if I was scoring it in the traditional fashion, a 91. That's one of the better debuts that I've heard in the past, say, 2-3 years. It's excellent. It's absolutely wonderful. You know, the vocals can sometimes get a little bit run of the mill, but you know what? I like them. They fit the music. That's the thing that sort of really works in its favor. If you want to check out this band, there is a full album stream of Memento Mori that is in the description box below. And also, I'm going to leave a link to where you can buy this album. And I do recommend buying this album. It's excellent. It's wonderful. Once you listen to it, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And I'll talk to you guys next time. My name is CoverKillerNation. See you later.